So most of you know, or at least you've heard, of the famous Spanish refreshing tomato soup gazpacho that comes from the south of Spain. Today I'm going to show you how to make a different type of tomato soup that hails from the same region, Andalusia, in the south of Spain. So this is a dish that's very unknown outside of that region. We're talking Porra Antequerana. Now this tomato soup is very similar to gazpacho, with the main differences being that it's got an incredibly rich and creamy texture to it, and a bit more depth of flavors, folks. Not only is this tomato soup super refreshing and easy to make, but it comes together within minutes. Let's begin by grabbing 1 pound of fresh tomatoes, which is a little under half a kilogram, or about 4 medium-sized tomatoes that have already been washed and patted dry, and cutting each one into 4 evenly sized quarters, making sure to remove any of the stem. Now to make this tomato soup, you can use whatever type of tomatoes you like. I'm using tomatoes off the vine, but let me tell you, the riper the tomatoes are, the more flavor the soup is going to have. Then we'll transfer the chopped tomatoes into a tall plastic cylinder. And using a handheld mixer, I'm going to mix the tomatoes until we end up with a smooth puree. Let me tell you, to make the soup, you can also use a blender or even a food processor. Once the tomatoes are well blended, I'm going to cut 1 small green bell pepper that's already been washed and patted dry into large chunks. As you know, when I'm working with bell peppers, I like to cut around them, that way there's no seeds involved. And we'll do the exact same thing with 1 small red bell pepper. And we'll also remove the skin from 1 large clove of garlic. Then we'll add in the chopped bell peppers and the garlic into the tall plastic cylinder with the tomato puree. And using the handheld mixer, we'll mix all the ingredients together until we end up with a smooth puree. Once the ingredients are well blended, let's move on to the next ingredient. I've got a baguette here. I let it sit out overnight, that way we can get nice and firm. To make this soup, you want the bread to be firm. If it's too soft, your soup is going to have no texture to it. I'm going to grab 100 grams of the baguette, which is about 4 ounces, and cut it into slices that are 1 inch thick, which is about 2.5 centimeters. Then we'll add the slices of baguette into a bowl. And we'll pour in some cold water, just enough to cover the slices of baguette, and let them sit here for about 2 minutes. That way they can rehydrate, but let me tell you, you don't want to leave them in there too long, otherwise the bread can easily get mushy. After about 2 minutes, I'm going to drain everything into a sieve. And using a large spoon, I'm going to push down on the slices of baguette to remove any of the excess water. Then we'll add in the soaked bread into the tall plastic cylinder with the rest of the ingredients. And once again, using the handheld mixer, mix everything together until everything's well blended. And as you can see, I'm doing this in stages. Instead of adding all the ingredients in there at once, by doing this technique, it ensures that all the ingredients are well blended and at the end giving you the most incredible creamy texture. Once everything is well mixed and there's no lumps in the mixture, I'm going to add in half a tablespoon of sherry vinegar, which is 8 milliliters. You can use whatever type of vinegar you like here. And we'll season everything with sea salt and some freshly cracked black pepper. Then we'll start running the handheld mixer, and at the same time slowly add in a 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil, which is 60 milliliters. To make this tomato soup, I'm using a Spanish olive oil from the Georgetown Olive Oil Company. In my opinion, one of the greatest Spanish olive oils out there. You'll find a link where you can get some in the description box below. Once all the olive oil has been added and you've ended up with a beautiful creamy texture with absolutely no lumps in it, I'm going to cover the mixture and add it into the fridge just between 1 to 2 hours. That way all the flavors can develop. After about 2 hours and the soup is nice and chilled, it is ready to be served. I'm going to give it a quick mix. And we'll transfer some of the soup into a shallow bowl. And for the final touches, I'm going to garnish the soup with some diced onions, croutons, and some fresh basil leaves. Of course, you can use other garnishes here, such as hard-boiled eggs or even chopped up ham. And we'll top it off with a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Check it out, our Porra Antequerana has done a beautiful, refreshing tomato soup from the province of Malaga in the region of Andalusia. Super easy to make and made with the most basic ingredients, but the best part, it's gonna fill your body with so much goodness. Let's give this a try and see how it turned out. All right, folks, time to try out this beautiful looking soup. This is another one of those dishes I cannot wait to try. Here we go. And it's absolutely delicious. But the beauty here is that creamy texture, and we didn't use any dairy with a technique that we puree everything in there. You know, the biggest ingredient here for me, besides using high quality produce, is use a great extra virgin olive oil, as it truly is what flavors the entire soup, folks. Make this at home. Right now that it's summer, it's gonna refresh your body and fill your body with so much goodness. Really quick before I go, shout out to a couple of my patrons, Leslie Tyson, Alan Sanchez, Jay Edwards, Kevin Moran, and Richard SB. Again, guys, thank you so much for being patrons of Spain on a Fork. You know how much I appreciate you. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, as it really helps out the channel. Leave me a comment below, and don't forget to share this video with your family and friends. That way our Spain on a Fork community can continue to grow. Till the next time, hasta luego.